That's it.
Now, good to be on this again. He is called the roll call. See, Marty Hatfield,
Marty's here.
Darren Kraus,
Here.
Rosanna Toro,
Yeah.
me, Marilyn Ferguson here, Patrick Wentland. Anybody hear from him?
Not yet. There's a chance he might be.
That's possibilities. Okay, everybody have a chance to look at the agenda? Nope. Okay.
Is Patrick not coming?
Haven't heard
We
it.
don't know.
Let me ask all the chance.
Unless
I
he's
thought
coming
I
later.
saw something that said he might be out of town.
Great. Maybe that's him. Here.
There he is.
Patrick, are you here? Yeah.
Oh, yes. Oh, I brought my little one.
Sheesh. Yes.
What?
Thank you.
Sorry.
The only thing you notice in the agenda is it has Marty as the interim radio broadcast. Me.
That'll be some old boilerplate.
So if the agenda is okay with everybody, want to go ahead and approve it?
Motion to approve the meeting agenda.
No.
Yeah.
That's good. And everybody have a chance to check the minutes?
Yeah.
Anything strange?
See him.
Anybody want to approve the?
Motion to approve the minutes.
Okay,
Second that.
alrighty. Public communications. Morning, everybody. Anybody have anything that they'd like to say?
Yes.
Okay.
Gina Rawlings, and not a resident, but I was watching last month, and I have a problem with a couple of things that were said. And the very first thing is that there used to be a public comment at the beginning of the meeting and at the end. And I was missing that one at the end because I would have liked to have spoken on what was discussed during the meeting. There's two things. There was a comment that was made that the sponsorship is now commercials, and that you're going to other places in Aberdeen, Hoquiam, and Grays Harbor County, and you're undercutting the for-profit businesses or privately owned businesses by charging a quarter of what their charges are for advertising. And I think that is incredibly wrong and is not sustainable. And the fact that this is a city-owned radio station I have a problem with that. I think that is it's very nearsighted, and it doesn't fit the program that you want to provide, and the fact that the city owns the radio station. The other thing that came about was the fact that the prices were going to go up for the antenna, and that you'd be looking at locating at a different antenna, and you decimated Pacific Beach's radio station without a thought of it. And now you're going to end up moving the antenna again. I think that you need to get back down to basics. The whole idea was to be able to be emergency broadcast for Ocean Shores and the surrounding area. Now it's like this mega plan, and I'm not sure that with volunteers that it's sustainable, and especially when you're trying to undercut privately owned businesses. I think that's dangerous. That's my comment.
Thank you for your comment. Any other comments? Okay. Moving on,
Anybody else?
anybody here?
Don joined. I think he was.
Oh, he was there he's been there a while. Okay.
He does have his hand.
Oh, you have your hand up? You're just, that's her.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Station report. Butch, what do you have?
Cool. We got some big changes coming this way, KOSW starting July 2nd. We are going to be moving the midday shows back to from noon to 3 instead of 11 to 2. We're adding a new show between 10 and noon, 5 days a week. It's Tommy's gonna have a new show. It's gonna be called The Now Factor. And it's kind of I haven't really got into the specifics with him, but it's kind of a news entertainment combined type thing he wants to do. Am I right, Marilyn? Is that
Yeah, the music and
Yeah.
breaking news
news and
and the sport.
sports? Yeah. And then he'll be going to noon, and we'll go to noon to 3, and then we got 2 new shows coming on. They're still in training right now. She'll be coming on air in the next week or 2 on Mondays from 3 o'clock until might be 4 or 3, I don't know. It's just this 3 o'clock to 6 o'clock. It's just a training period because we're holding it for Andy the hamster to come back when he gets healthy enough to come back. She actually wants to, she works at the Red Genie, so she works until 9 o'clock at night. She wants to do a 10 to midnight show. So I'm not sure, that might be a Tuesday or Wednesday night that she'll be coming on permanently. But for training purposes, I didn't want to get there at 10 o'clock at night to train her. So I'm using Andy's show for to train her on the air until she can go solo, and I'll put her up there. Now, Michelle, she's just got started with her playlist. She's gonna meeting with Trey tonight to get her remote utilities put on home. And as soon as she's ready, she'll be doing the 3 o'clock to 6 o'clock spot on Tuesdays.
People can do it from home.
Well, we can remote into our drive at home and they can work in their playlist. Okay. We don't have, hey, Rick, we only have, one person that works from home out of Aberdeen. It's random. He has all the gear to do. Other than that, everybody else comes to the station. Is there any, oh yeah, Rick, starting on next Tuesday, the 2nd of July, you will be from noon to 3. Okay. And we'll be discussing a lot of some more detail as we have a staff meeting following board meeting. Sand and Sawdust, we have 2 booths. We have a KOSW booth, which is gonna be down at the beach on Friday and Saturday, and up on the parking lot on Sunday. We have North Beach Independent Media is gonna have a booth inside the convention center to promote the New Year's Eve special. We have tickets available. Jill is gonna be in charge of that booth. Thank you, Jill. Going on the 4th of July, I have not heard, I got an email in to try to find from this Diane gal to see if, she answered me here. They were talking about doing something in the west parking lot at the convention center. They wanted us to do the music for it, but I've not heard back from them whether that's happening. But
That's some stuff through from Fort Samuel.
Patrick got this ball rolling.
Hey. What you got?
I want to show you, but I gotta pull back here so we can see it.
You like a hand? Huh? Hey. Cool. That looks good.
Tune in to 88.9 FM for tonight's 4th of July music. Okay, we're gonna post this thing on the Shiloh entrance, so people come in. Everybody saw it? Pretty cool.
Cool.
We'll have more info on that was mentioned later.
Trey's gonna be doing the music, and at the staff meeting, we're gonna have everybody gives Trey an idea of what kind of music he wants to play that night. So it's kind of a joint thing.
Cool.
I gotta get a hold of, is it Brian at the fire station?
I reached out to, I got the guy at Surf Riders. I'm getting his contact info.
Cause I wanna be up on the.
Oh, yeah, for the remote, yes, we want to talk to Brian.
Yeah, and do a remote from up, not, well. When things are happening, we'll be able to call into the station remotely and even put the fire marshal on the air if we got a problem there. Or Nikki or whoever is up there with us to discuss, if there's issues going on, like a fire in the dunes. Or someone, yeah,
Where is that gonna be set up?
Shiloh,
In the hotel?
on a top balconies. I don't know exactly
If
where.
they have an open room?
No, I got to talk to Brian. I don't know what they got. All I know is they're gonna be on a balcony. and
They're in the command center up there.
Oh, they are, so they already got some.
They do it there.
No, I gotta get, this is Brian, right? I gotta get a hold of it. Yeah, that should be an interesting evening. Hope I can keep awake yet. I think that's pretty much what I've got.
Okay, Rich, thank you. And Marty for the technology report.
Technology that is marginally of interest to us as an FM station, but it's primarily oriented towards AM stations right now. It is, there has been a move in the automotive industry to eliminate AM radios from vehicles. And there's a big concern of that with most broadcasters because of the emergency value of the AM station. AM has been kind of the focus point of national emergency alert systems since its inception back in the 40s. Of course, we all participate here on FM as well as AM, but there have been some of the electronic vehicles, battery powered vehicles, that have found that the equipment on board can generate enough noise that it tends to disrupt the listenability of AM on radio.
Before you go, can you explain to us the difference between AM and FM?
Well, there are a lot of differences, but one of the fundamental differences is FM is limited to what's considered generally the line of sight from the antenna system out to its distant reception area. That's discounting interference from other stations. AM stations, rather than just following the way the beam goes straight out, basically, it follows the contours of the Earth's surface and uses the ground itself as a component of delivering the signal to stations. They also have a situation where on AM, because of the ionosphere, during the daytime, it's charged by sunlight and it creates a situation where AM waves are bouncing off of the ionosphere and they come down in a fairly close range, within 100 miles, 200 miles of the transmitting facility. At night, when the ionosphere loses its charge and the reflection factor goes way up, you can hear coast to coast. You used to be able to listen to Boston radio stations out here before the ambient noise floor started to get too crazy, but we could listen to Salt Lake City, KSL, WLW, stations all over the United States would be receivable. And that's a major difference between AM and FM, is AM is literally limited to obstruction type of reception. So that's what limits it. If you get a mountain range, the FM drops off very quickly. The AM still tends to carry through the mountains, even though because of the ground characteristics, it's not as good of a signal. It still tends to make it through. And there are a few other important differences. For one thing, on AM, very few people are actually running stereo on AM. It's almost, I don't know if there are even 2 or 3 stations that run stereo on AM. Almost everybody on FM is stereo. Just a better medium for high fidelity transmission on FM. So hopefully, just question, any other question or like fill in a little bump in my comment there? Okay. So, in any event, back to the vehicles, there's enough noise, like in the old days, especially an old jalopy type vehicle, had a very noisy tick, 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 tick as the spark plugs fired. You could hear that on your AM radio and you step on the accelerator and spark plugs get louder. And the whine from the generator or the alternator, you'd hear that on your radio, things like that. Well, most of that is able to be suppressed with modern day radios. However, in an all electronic vehicle, so much relative noise floor is created by all of the electronics, including stuff like your phone, depending on whether the screen is active, can interfere with reception, and primarily AM. So AM industry, or AM broadcasters have leaned heavily on the automotive manufacturers to say, hey, this is fundamental emergency information to go to drivers and anybody who has an emergency, they run out to their car and they turn on their radio, and sometimes it's on AM. The manufacturers have pushed back and said, well, that's an ancient technology and it's time to move on, put that in the rear view mirror. And just because we've eliminated it from the vehicle doesn't mean that, that we're not interested in safety. And just this morning I was reading that one of their points of argument that they're claiming is that they won't, if they have to support the filtering necessary to make AM radio work in vehicles. And several electronic cars do fine. There are a couple of hybrids do quite well, a couple of all electrics that do well, but there are several all electrics that work. And what they've posed back to the broadcast industry is, well, you're giving us a choice here. You're saying, okay, if we have to support the ability for AM to work well in an automotive environment that we've created, we're going to have to cut back on some of the automatic safety features that we're putting in the vehicle because that's just going to be too much to go out to the public, and that's going to disrupt too many aspects of it. So there's this differential in perspective of how to come to a conclusion where vehicles can both appropriately receive an AM signal as well as provide the safety features that we've come to enjoy in vehicles. So it'll be interesting to see what the next chapter is, but everybody's pouring this information into the FCC to make a decision. And this also kind of ties into a very old rule that the commission came up with when FM became popular. Back in the early 60s, everybody just had an AM radio. Later in the mid 60s, started showing up that you could put in your phone. Take an FM antenna signal and convert it so you could pick up your AM. And then subsequently, the FCC came out and said, all new radios must have AM and FM reception capability. They did the same thing with a television, where they went from the smooth tuning back in the 50s and 60s to the rotary or discrete channel selections. So the commission has a history of coming out to make it easier and better for tuning and listening to broadcast, as well as broadcast television, through enforcement of rules. And right now, the electronic automotive industry is chipping away at the rules, or trying to. So we'll see where that all goes. I don't know that an actual rulemaking has been proposed yet, but there's just lots of chat. Any questions? Yes.
Now I know why I got Wolfman Jack about 1 o'clock in the morning on top of the mountain.
Absolutely. Plus, it didn't hurt that they were running 500,000 watts in Mexico, even though his studios were in San Diego. So, yeah, they had the big, they call them border blasters. And they have a very large signal that's concentrated north and south. So they would go all the way down to South America, and all the way up to Canada, right along the coast. So, yeah. And, but if we, during the daytime, they're limited. Night, when the reflections were allowed to really expand their coverage. So there you go.
Madam Chair,
Yes,
I forgot something.
okay,
I want everyone to know that not only do we do the city council meeting tomorrow night or tonight, we're gonna be doing the town hall live along with North Beach TV tomorrow night. At the convention center, 6 o'clock.
Oh, yeah, that's not clinic.
okay. Pretty good. Okay, was that all you have on technology?
Yeah.
Okay, now for the next report,
Right.
board member report, Marty.
Oh, here we go again. So let's see, good on, the, demonstration equipment that I'm assembling, to put together a demonstration of the, police and fire department interface with the radio station to be able to have them go directly on the air in the event of a serious emergency that needs to reach the entire public. Not quite finished, but there was just one little element that I need to make function. And by this weekend, I'll have an on-air test that we can perform, and then we'll be a half a step ahead so that we can get the information out to the police and fire department. How to access the system. Basically, there's a private telephone number that they will dial. Be an access with touch tone, and then they're directly on the air. And it actually interrupts the broadcast program. And I expect that we'll develop a script that just basically says, we're interrupting this program for an urgent message from Ocean Shores Fire Department that we need to clear a lane over here. And the best way we can reach the public is through the radio station tonight. So they would state their message, and they would hit hang up code, and programming would return to normal. And then if they needed to follow up with some more information, they would call back, do the same thing, and it's all automated. So this is not going to be the final product. This is a demonstration product to be able to get us to having some reasonable access for the police and fire departments, specifically for the 4th of July. The longer term goal is to have a properly developed device that will be effective for I believe it's October 10th, the great shakeout day that we have every year for the Cascadia. And I guess it's a national program actually, but certainly focused on Cascadia eventual event out here. And so we want to have that feature available to them for the test that comes out at October 10th at 10 a.m. So that, I'm not sure if this is an okay time. I mean, it's not a technology directly comment, but I'd like to address Gina's comments, or at least the notes that I had a little bit earlier. Is that okay? to proceed with that? Okay, so Gina, without creating a great exchange going on or anything, I think there's some misinterpretations of the language in particular that was being used. You cued on the term commercials. First of all, non-commercial broadcast stations are not permitted under several codes, the US code itself, to do commercial. The most that is allowed is what is deemed to be sponsorship announcements or sponsorship mentions. Generally speaking, and this is pretty much across the board with all non-commercial broadcast stations, is an announcement of that sort is generally in the neighborhood of 10 seconds in duration. Sometimes though, some stations will go a little longer, some will go much shorter, but Generally speaking, mentions are limited to 10 seconds. On commercials, on regular commercial broadcast band, which is that area of in FM above 92.1, those stations can run 60 seconds of commercials, 30 seconds of commercials, 10 seconds of commercials, 5 seconds of commercials. The difference, fundamental difference is what's called for non-commercial stations is an absence of a call to action. Those are the key words you will not hear on KOSW, or you should not hear on KOSW, or any other non-commercial FM station that call this number. Number one, that's a call to action. I'm telling the listener to call this number. We don't say that. We say Joe Blow's house painting service has a phone number, or they have a website. Another one is we're the best. Qualifiers like that signify that we're the leader of the pack or this or that. Those types of mentions are not allowed on non-commercial radio stations, regardless of who the licensee is. We have a different layer of sensitivity here in Ocean Shores as one of the very few in the United States that's licensed to a municipality. So we also have the guidelines from the city overlaid on the FCC rules, that things that we do and don't want to do. So we have several layers of guidelines that we have to follow. And there's never an intention, and although in my heart, I would love to see us go head to head with commercial sponsorship entities that we could say, go to this car dealer and look at your new Chevy or whatever it is. We can't do that stuff. So, and you won't hear that conversation here. And the fundraising still remains as a volunteer situation. And I think that's not likely to change at any point. And to mention about the costs going up, well, the costs aren't going up beyond where we were last July when we started paying July or August, depending on the rent abatement agreement, for the tower site lease. And it was due diligence on my part, I believe, to initiate a vision that says, if this cost is X dollars per month, what could we do to reduce the overhead of operating KOSW? And one of the possibilities is to come up with an alternative tower site. I do not know if such a tower site exists at this time. I'm rather focused on this fire department, police department situation, but I will be doing an analysis that will determine where we could potentially relocate the station to, the transmitting facility to. It will almost certainly be within a few miles of where it presently is. But that depends on the allocation situation with the FCC. There are restrictions. We can't just pick a spot and go there and go on the air. This was the case that KXPB did years ago. We actually followed the FCC rules and have always been properly licensed, permitted and licensed. I don't believe they can say the same, certainly not with a straight face. In any event, we do appreciate the involvement of KXPB, and in fact, I was there over this past weekend and stopped in to say hello and to reiterate the interest that KOSW has in developing a sister relationship with them, so to speak, that allows activities that are going on within KXPB's coverage area and their whole community we can carry some of their information, and we do. We carry public service announcements, we carry messages about the food bank. There's a, similar to Sand and Sawdust,
Beach stuff.
beach dock coming up soon. And you're gonna hear those, if you haven't already, announced on KOSW. That's an opportunity that never previously existed for KXPB to reach beyond their core community other than through the internet access. This gives them the ability to know that listeners well beyond their normal coverage are hearing things that are going on in their community. We want to do more of that. We want to do that for not just Pacific Beach and Mo Clips and Tahola and Great. Why not use the coverage that we have to enhance our general community's availability of information of what's going on in those communities? And then the big overlay is the emergency aspect. For dissemination of information, KXPB has a very small coverage area, not affected by KOSW's operation. There is no interference area created by KOSW to KXPB. So please try to extract that from any dialogue that you might. But the overall aspect of this is we all live in a coastal community. We're all subject to extremely similar events that are going to hit our area one day, whether it's a massive land-based forest fire, earthquake byproducts, tsunami byproducts, all of this stuff. Let's handle this as a general community, and we can be a serious voice that has the ability to maintain those types of information outlets during a very, very serious event out here. So that's kind of a bundle. I hope that helped answer your, or at least perhaps a little bit of the concerns that you had voiced earlier. And as far as the public comments at the end, I'll have to go back and look. We have not done that for years, in my opinion. We'd be interested to know if you have some background information on that. I know City Council has been doing that. When they shift from a council meeting to another meeting, they open up for public comment again. We don't follow under the exact same rules as City Council meetings. So with that, I will turn it back.
Thank you, Marty.
Thank you.
Daryl, I won't forget you this time. You have anything?
Well, a couple, I want to expand upon what Marty had said, because there was a misunderstanding. We, on the North Beach TV side, we covered the, it was a professional wrestling event on Saturday. And was it Friday? Saturday. I forget. Being retired, every day's a Saturday.
Today's Tuesday.
Every day is. There was a misunderstanding where they asked one of the, I'm gonna bring this up at the following KOSW staff meeting, where someone had asked if, actually a guy from the wrestling asked a staff member that he wanted to buy some advertising on KOSW. And the staff member correctly answered and said, sorry, we don't sell advertising, it's not available. And so then they just moved on with the conversation. And what the answer should have been is that, no, we don't do advertising. Because this guy did get LTAC funds and he wanted to invest back into the community. The correct answer is no, that we do offer underwriting opportunities. And so that's the difference because of the general public's conception that all the messages they hear are lumped under as advertising. They're not, they're just underwriter announcements. So the conversation went on and the guy did not invest back into KOSW. A little bit of a misunderstanding there.
Can we revisit that meeting with them to say, oh, by the way, will you accept donations, or we do have a fundraising arm?
Well, the event's over, so they wanted to get out to the public that you're trying to make people aware that this event was happening on Saturday and then you can call them up.
I can. Okay, nonprofits, we used to have no charge for a nonprofit, I don't want to say advertise, but we talk about their event. Okay. Profit though, we won't do that for free. We charge them like $100 for a month. And we'll do a recording about their event and run 6 times a day. Okay, it isn't a call to go to that event, it's just about the event. Okay?
It's underwriter.
It's an underwriter announcement, it's recorded though, and it plays 6 times a day.
So there's a misunderstanding on both ways. So the guy, when he said no advertising, it's good. Sure.
So can we call them and tell them in the future, if you would like to
Why-
promote an event,
I
then,
talked to them.
yeah, okay, cool.
The other thing is that, North Beach TV and KOSW, I used to be the sports director and doing sports play-by-play. Jerry Knack has released, he's the new sports director at KOSW and has made a press release and released it today. That there's a mutual understanding agreement between KOSW and North Beach TV. Because North Beach TV now has the ability to do live streaming and KOSW shows up to the home and away football games and basketball games. North Beach TV will provide the video production for those games and KOSW will be doing the play. We will live stream them and in the future, I'm not sure exactly when we've got gear now. This big thick and plug it in and get it working, then we could stream live to channel 68. So that's.
And we had a new name.
This guy has knocked it out of the park.
Let's see that.
You elevated North Beach TV operations and the product that's produced and directed to the city consumers. Excellent. It's so cool. So exciting to see.
Good use of the
Well,
LTAC.
thank you.
That new switcher, and everything is just phenomenal.
But we really don't have the rest of it.
But
Yeah.
to go on with Daryl, we now have kind of renamed it, it isn't the Voice of the Hyaks anymore, where we are now, it's North Beach Sports Network. And it's a combination in KOSW and North Beach TV. We have a banner we hang over our sports deal, it's gonna have both our logos on it, and it says North Beach Sports Network. So just doing one, like this KOSW or North Beach TV, we combine them both for our sports.
So
We're
there's
excited.
there's 4 pathways you can get. KOSW over the air, KOSW streaming, North Beach TV, not over the air, but on channel 68 and on YouTube. So that's the plan.
Okay, this town's really gonna, I'm really excited about the sports this year. It's gonna be-
Elevating our operations collectively to match the heartbeat of Ocean Shores now. It's starting to get a good pulse. I'd like to see that.
Daryl and I have been talking about this for a few years now, how it would be so cool if we could combine live sports with play-by-play.
Like, we should say we have a radio station, people are, we have a radio station? And then you're 11 years ago, when we first started, it's like, we have a radio station? Nobody knew we were here, now they know we're here.
Yeah. And the new gear that we've got, we can do all kinds of really cool things. Name keys, back to the city council meeting, I've got something like 45 or 50 name keys that comes up as the meeting goes along. So all of the city council members have their little name that comes across electronically. As the agenda goes through, the agenda is put on the screen. So it's really advanced. It's a lot of work to do it.
I watch you guys at city council, you guys are awesome.
Thank you. And that's about all that I've got.
Did you have a question about that?
Yeah, something to tell everybody. Has you guys considered making some signage like that would go in the median strip? One that talks about, the news and talk in the morning, the midday show. You want to, show you, maybe, well, have 2 about at one time, but have 8, 10 of them, 12 of them made and have them rotate them every week, especially during the summer. People driving in town see, hey, KOSW.
Those signs are for the events, the convention center controls.
Yeah, You don't think George would allow, the city would allow you guys?
Maybe when in the off season, when there's nothing going on, I don't know, let's see, right now, like, it'd be all Santa Sawdust, right? And the next will be all Hog Wild, or whatever the next event is at the conventions. Kind of tough, I don't know how you do that, I've talked to George, it's a good idea.
Maybe a good way to get, so, especially, talk in the morning at a midday show. You just cut simulcast in North Beach Channel 68, and that would, people that are here visiting, oh, there's a local radio station, I'll tune into it while I'm in town. Or I can watch Channel 68 while I'm in town, and just be another way for us to get the word out to visitors as opposed to residents. And it'd be relatively inexpensive.
Well, that probably is good in your, radio staff meeting.
Yeah.
Curious, does the school put it up on their little marquee that they're over the air? That you can listen to the games and stuff? Marquee out front of the school.
We're still with you, Darren?
I'm done, yeah.
Thank you, Daryl. Rosanna, do you have anything? No, no report. Okay. And Marilyn, you have anything? No. Patrick, do you have something?
I attended there's a meeting, with the fire chief, Brian, and he had everybody at the work there. Sarah was there too, and the administrator, and then anyway, they talked about the 4th of July and big concerns, and so they had me go as well, because I've been bringing up the thing about having a radio broadcast and forth. As maybe it's comfortable, ideas to tell all the cars on the beach to tune to our stations, since we have the new, strong signal down the beach. And then, you'll hear our music through all these radios, hopefully a bunch of them. And by the way, I have the #1 biggest fireworks, Brian, Matt Buchanan, Big Red. He's got a huge show, so he wants to know the list. You can electronically set his thing to 10 o'clock when we'll talk later, but anyway, I got all this information, so the idea, of course, is to let these cars know, and I think the main thing is to really the bags that get handed out on the beach and all the approaches. Now, this year, it's 2 organizations doing it together, it's the Surf Riders, they're the main ones doing it, and also all the guys that are cleaning up all the Defenders of the Coast, thank you, are the other ones, so. And talking to Butch as well on the side, we're like, let's just do a flyer, be the one. And so I've emailed them and they're like, yeah, it's a great idea. And then I got the guy's name that will be in contact very shortly, but I'm gonna hand this to you, Butch. This is the information from the meeting. This will probably go both sides condensed on the one side of the flyer. So like here it says, these are all the points of the fire, that they want to point out, especially the main one's a High Dunes Trail, because that's right through the middle of the dunes, where it's really dangerous for stuff lights on fire. And that's our biggest concern, is they're gonna have that open for the public, for families and such. But of course, you don't want anybody lighting fireworks. So you're gonna have a golf cart going back and forth, honoring people and everything. So these are items that we'll want to, of course, put on one side of the flyer. These are things that we want to put together as well for any PSA announcements that maybe play. But really we'll have to get some flyers done. That's the main thing. It'll be a cost, a two-sided flyer. I think it's gonna be thousands of them. It sounds like they have like 2,000 or 3,000 of these bags they hand out. So that's what we'll need to have happen before the 4th to get them, and I'll help with coordinate and work with whoever to get the right person.
Do you want this on the flyer?
Not necessarily. I'm just saying, for the flyer, we do whatever. I'm thinking one side would be some good information. The other side would be hey, tune into the 10 o'clock's we're gonna play patriotic music, but all day we've been playing music, really just music, not talking. And, if there's any talking, it's gonna be going through these announcements. They may be live cutting in with the fire chief. So, but the thing is, we gotta get these on the printed, and we gotta get them, so they hand out the flyer to every bag. It's a piece of paper, it's a little piece of, garbage, hey, put it in the bag if you don't want it. But either way, we're not gonna use staples. I think that was a concern. It just goes with it. And so they know, hey, turn on the station. Hopefully they get out there, turn it on, they start, people start doing that together. So. Sorry, I'm kind of getting into the whole business too, but that's what I went and talked to you with, and I guess next is really get the Rittenhouse is the guy's last name. I have it written here somewhere.
Yeah, yes.
And anyway, that's the guy's name, and I'll make sure that by hopefully next day or two.
I want to talk to him. I can get this electronically, I can put this on one side.
Brian handed me that, so you need to talk to me anyway about doing the remote next to Brian.
We'll put our logo on the other side with the music.
Yeah, so. That's all I have.
Yeah, well, thank you. Yeah,
Yeah.
Trey mentioned that on the radio this morning.
Yeah, that's right. I think they were talking to certain writers or
Yeah,
something.
they're trying to surprise us.
Probably the same guy. I'm trying to get the guy's name.
Remember his first-
Oh, by the way, you're handing, he probably doesn't know yet. You're handing this out. in a minute. That would have been nice to mention. Well, we're
I
getting
met with him on
I'm sorry.
Saturday, on the beach. They had a beach event.
Okay.
Attended, and Kyle, who's doing the morning show, he was
Uh,
out ill this morning. But yeah, she set up that interview with him, and it was a very productive,
oh, good.
very interesting interview.
Good.
It was Great.
That's too bad. We should have had him know that, then we could have mentioned that even.
Yeah.
But still, perfect.
Mhm.
That's the guy, so.
Oh,
Just to
thank
get some
you.
stuff printed. So is that something, I guess, the charge that Bush should just take on and get the flyers printed then? Is that, I guess, the next action item to do, I guess?
I'll give it to Rich. No,
Great. I'm here now. What do you need?
Okay, move on to the council liaison report. Denise, do you have anything?
Yeah, I have a couple of things. I think it was at the last meeting, and I'm not sure, but I think it was Marty mentioned that there was still a reference on the website to 91.3. And I found it. It was in an index to the KOSW page.
Ah.
So I got that changed.
Okay.
I also noticed that Rosanna was there as Roseanne, so I got that corrected. There was a question about the radio DJ handbook, and Sarah said that is still in process. The budget, let's see, we talked about what these numbers represent, and they do represent the biennial budget. And at tonight's council meeting, we are going to talk about the budget calendar for the 25-26 budget. And as of now, the KOSW budget presentation is scheduled for September 10th. So that's tentative until the schedule is approved, but keep that in mind.
Denise,
Yeah,
we've always asked, is there a form for that budget? We never received a form that I know of to fill out what to turn into the city council meeting, or if we just make up our own.
Just for uniformity, so it doesn't look homemade.
that's a good question. I don't know, but I will find out for you. Okay? And the other reminder is, oh, and on the webpage, Marty is listed as the interim chair. And the bylaws do say that the elections are this month. So I don't know if you want that changed, but the elections are supposed to be this month according to your
Which
bylaws.
is today.
Which is.
But it's not on your
All in
agenda.
favor?
That did not get on the agenda, so.
Can we add it?
Wouldn't be the first time. We knew
Well,
You
Did you
would
do
have had to
a
amend
special-
the agenda at the beginning.
yeah.
Oh,
Well,
can you do a special meeting for it? Later than one?
You don't have enough time
Oh.
in the month to get a public notice.
Yeah, not in June.
Holiday.
That's a meeting.
Yeah,
Sarah, question.
we should make sure we get it on the agenda.
Yeah.
And I'll just roll on as interim.
Oh, and there was one other thing. The other question that you had last month was about terms.
Right.
So the terms that are on the city webpage are correct. So it's Marty is 6/30/25. Daryl is, they're all 6/30. Daryl is 2026. Rosanna is 2025. Marilyn is 2026 and Patrick is 2026.
So these just 2-year terms?
Three.
Three?
So there was a question as to whether Marty and Rosanna needed to reapply.
Yeah, there was.
You do not, and I sent you. Yeah, yeah. So your webpage, I believe, still needs to be updated.
Yeah, you said 2025 for Marty?
Yes,
Oh, he's got a year yet, right? He doesn't have to apply right now.
No,
No, that's just for radio board membership. I'm the interim chair.
But she was.
That's the.
Well, that's because we don't have.
Yeah, you should.
I don't- it-
It's on our website, I got Maryland.
so what is on the city webpage is correct, so you can just look
So
at that.
Marty's the intern.
Well, I don't know.
Whether he is or not,
I-
all I know is that's what's on the city webpage.
It does say interim.
Yes.
No, you got one more meeting.
You'll
Did you want to finish the meeting?
be conducting it so well. Sit by and we'll just go from there.
Oh, I did notice that on the financial report, we got the header changed to 88.9 from 91.3, which it was last week, so that's been changed there too. So that's a good thing.
Right.
Denise, you have anything else?
No, anything other than the budget form that you have for me, would
I
you
don't-
like me to follow up on?
I'm not sure if it's you or if I gotta go talk to somebody, but we've got one sign yet that hasn't been changed from A 91.3, and that's a sign in our parking. lot.
Oh, yeah, the evacuation route ones? or-
No, our
Radio
our
station.
big parking, KOSW parking 91.3.
Oh, our
Yeah.
parking. Oh,
Yeah,
that's.
our parking station.
Yes, I think they generally goes through the public works
Yeah.
group.
Well, if it's Public Works, either you can contact, Scott Anderson or I can. He's in charge of.
You have
Public Works.
empowerment, do I don't have.
You will have all.
I'll talk to Scott.
Okay,
I'll see him tonight.
Okay, thank you, Denise. Now for the financial report. Anybody want to give the financial report? We do know that this is biannual, all these huge figures are.
So it looked like Sarah was gonna present something that maybe not. See her.
And she said it was listed on the, city website.
Yeah, just said about the city website, you go look, where do you go look? What's that?
It's in the regular financial.
Financials on the website, look, clear go.
Yeah, and then there are subdivisions below that where they are in, income, expenses, and executive summary. So there's 3 different for every month. When you get down in there.
3 subsets.
Kind of have a dig through them. I've been digging through them a little bit myself and
Okay,
Under.
it's still a little cryptic because I'm not absolutely clear on, I mean, it's everybody's expenses. It's
Yeah.
not clear to find one that just says, there is something called radio station.
yeah,
But I believe that there are some other matters in other portions of it that actually apply to them. So
oh, a place to start.
we'll get,
Yeah, from compared to last month, looks like the revenue went up by $2,350. And the expenses went up by $4,469.35.
Yeah.
And so the total funds remaining, and this would be the biannual or whatever, total funds for the radio station would be $86,169.48.
yeah, so what you're seeing there would be the 2023-2024 budget.
Right.
And what we'll be planning for is the 25-26.
Now, my question is, when December 31st gets here, soon January 1 comes up, all the money that's left over in our account goes back in the general fund, is that correct?
I believe it does. But I can check on that too.
Because I think that's the way most governments work.
$86,000.
Yeah.
Wow.
They'll pay for a lot of rental.
We're not a problem for 2 flyers.
well, that was the idea.
Yeah.
When's this deadline, end of the year?
Yeah, after you end your biannual budget, when I was in school district, it was that.
When I was at the library district, it was the same way too. Everything went into the general.
You didn't spend it or lose.
And on the
Yeah.
professional side, you got a budget spend, you don't spend. Yeah, we'll invoice you today, it's no problem.
So can we get that jacuzzi now? Sorry.
Okay, do we have any old business? If we want to cover old business,
Yep.
any new business
It was when it was put in when we did the transfer to,
discussion? Anybody want to discuss anything?
and the rented town shed. We had.
But do we want to entertain anything about the election for the next?
Yeah,
cycle?
we want to do that for July, for our next July meeting.
Yeah, I think we need to make that.
Yeah,
We'll
absolutely.
make that for the,
Get put
put on new business for next week.
So we don't have any elections this year. None,
Well, we need a
Oh, you
president.
mean incoming people?
incoming,
Well, we'll have,
no turnover yet this year. It's all-
No. No, we just need to decide who's going to be president.
I'm glad we're back to
That's true.
6:30 because
Sure.
for a while there was all over the board because people were leaving and coming on at different times.
well, that was that whole
Yeah,
convergence of, residual, or not residual, but the remaining portion of someone else's term. Yeah. Created a different wave that came through too.
Anything else for, we wanted to discuss?
What's that future meeting date on notes or?
August 23rd?
July?
No, it's August 23rd. Oh,
yeah, you skipped a month.
we did, somebody skipped a month.
Yeah. I moved to change the agenda and say July.
I agree. We got a calendar here. Oh, everybody can pull up the calendar and find mine.
So Stephanie, you're doing it in here?
Yeah.
What, man?
We adjourn now.
In July 23rd, 30th.
Yeah, okay.
The fourth Tuesday,
Yeah, 23rd is the 4th.
Oh, I don't know, maybe. I'm
July
right.
23rd, July
That's
23rd. Okay, we're gonna correct that. Future meeting is July 23rd. At the
You had the right date, month.
10:30 a.m. Okay, anybody want to adjourn?
I make a motion, we were adjourned.
You will? Okay. Okay, meeting is now adjourned.
Thank you.
Oh, you did it right.